Are we really that different from the gods? So to start off this video, I want you guys to preload your brains, it's called priming, with any ideas and stories of gods and goddesses and stuff that you may have. And ask yourself, how are they like us? And how are they different? So if you think about that for a second, all of the stories have them as being anthropomorphized, or, they kind of look like us, depending on the tradition and stuff. A lot of times they have arms, legs, hands, feet, and, maybe a regular looking head, maybe an animalistic kind of head, like you find with the traditions in Egypt, or a lot of other religions and stuff have gods really looking very similar to us. And so, are they really that different from us if they look like us? Well, what separates us from them? They can do things that we presumably can't. They can control the weather. They can create things out of thin air. They can create life. They can manipulate everything from plagues and earthquakes and make it rain and all this other stuff. They have all these different abilities, right? And that's just a supernatural way of doing things. They can just think and do it. Um, Now, that's not exactly that different from us. We can, we as humans, we can create things, we can create life, we can destroy things, we can even with technology manipulate the weather. So I guess what you could say is that the only thing that makes us different from the gods is that we have to use technology a lot of times to do things. We think, therefore we do. We think, therefore we create. We devise ways to make different things happen. If some things that are not possible yet could be very possible in the future, but um, it's just not right now. The progress we've made as humans over the last like 5,000 years demonstrates that we keep improving in our abilities to do things. Man playing God, right? Jurassic Park, or even with genetic manipulation, being able to create crazy things. Understand things that we can't even see. Maybe even one day traverse the stars and all this other stuff. So let me switch over to my notes here, but you kind of getting the idea that we can do a lot of the things that the gods can do. We just have a different way of going about it. We might even be able to one day live as long as the gods supposedly did. If you look at the antediluvian kings list, where the gods lived, or kings lived for a super duper duper long time, and then there was the flood, and now we're subjected between like what 80-ish and maybe 120-ish years. The antediluvian kings actually lived way, 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 way longer than that, centuries and stuff. And as the story goes with Utnapishtim, or Noah, depending on what story you follow, you guys know my slant on this. Have my foot on the soapbox. But the idea is that we were just making too much noise, we lived too long, and Enlil didn't like it, so he decided to wipe us out. And Enki kind of made a deal with him, alright, how about they just live a little bit shorter, you know? So there's that. But, alright, so I have a little bit of a rant note thing. Let me try to dissect this, right? So gods don't create perfection. Everybody thinks that like gods are perfect or they're all powerful or whatever. Gods don't create perfection. Look at even, well, any god, you name it, even the Christian God, right? He created the world, he created people, and then they screwed everything up, so he decided to wipe the slate clean, the flood, right? And then he allowed humans to repopulate. In the Mesopotamian myths, there's a lot of stories about like the gods getting angry because humans were making too much noise, or there's even bickering among the gods. Gods don't create perfection; they create things. They refine disorder. I mean, there's the universal law of everything going from order to disorder, and I don't think that gods are separate from that. They're not above that. I don't think anything that anyone, be it man or God, can create is going to be free of disorder. They bickered amongst themselves, they fought with people, they made people fight with other people. So, I mean, the fact that gods fight with each other, are we really different from them? I don't think so. Let's see. So they have to maintain and upkeep their creations, and let's see. I already talked about this part. So let's kind of step into what this channel's all about, right? Magic, right? So you could argue that, and I'm trying to remember the phrase, that like technology can seem so advanced that it is indistinguishable from magic. If you guys know what I'm talking about, let me know down in the comments, because I'm kind of paraphrasing something off the top of my head that I didn't dig around for the exact wording for, but whatever. You know, it's like 6 o'clock in the morning. I've been up since 3, so you're going to have to deal. But so magic, right? Gods can use what we would term as magic to create things. We can create things where, like, somebody that looked at our technology now hundreds of years ago, they would take a look at this phone and be like, that's magic, right? So our technology can be seen as magic because it helps us to create or manipulate the world around us. Now back to the notes here. So basically the gods they don't create perfection, neither do we. They create order, and they have to constantly refine it to maintain it. That's the same kind of thing that we have to do with magic. We have to keep working on various things in our lives with magic to change this in our favor, change that in our favor, change this inside of us so we can do better out here. We are constantly working on ourselves, constantly refining order, and if you think that being a magician or a practitioner of magic means you don't have to work on yourself, I highly beg to differ. Let's keep going. Yeah, and even gods would work in subtle ways of manipulating or just dropping little hints and things like that at people when they wanted to influence people to change things, or they made just a slight little change with making it rain for a really long time, or, oh, I'll just set this plague free over here and we'll see what that does. You know, I'll set these many plagues off just to scare this guy. God didn't come down and immediately scare the Pharaoh, right? He set off a bunch of little plagues to coerce him, to push him, which gives you a little thing on free will where you kind of have to convince someone to through your energy and your actions, to change their viewpoints and stuff, which is why I don't think magic can be very manipulative. Check my video on love spells where I rant about that. I think you guys are getting the point. Let me know in the comments if I'm making any sense here. Let's see. So now, one of the arguments or the questions is, are the gods like us? Are they like flesh and blood and whatnot? You know, Zecharia Sitchin, and I know that there's some people that criticize his work and whatever, but the ancient people, they saw gods as being on this same plane that we are. They came down from the sky, they hung out with us, they taught us some stuff, and they left, right? And they came here, they might have ruled some people, they might have started wars in between certain factions of people or whatever, and some of them even reportedly died. There's tons of stories of demigods dying, or even gods dying, I think. If you guys know of any particular gods actually dying in stories, let me know. I mean, Tiamat got hacked in half, right? And that was one of the 2 primordial beings got hacked in half and made the firmament and the earth, right? So they're not that different from us. Now, do they exist on did they exist on this plane at one point? The stories would argue yes, but do they exist at a different plane, which is why we can communicate with them through our rituals and through our minds, using our subconscious and our ESP, for lack of a better term, as an antenna, and traveling to their planes of existence, or an astral plane where they can kind of meet us halfway, because the idea is that, like, this is the material plane, this is where the gods are, this is the astral plane where you can communicate with them, right? So maybe I should make a video on that. Let me know down in the comments if you guys think that's a cool idea. But, so, do they exist on the same plane as us? Can they? Maybe. Do they exist somewhere else? Can they? Maybe. The thing is, we don't really know. I mean, it's really kind of arguable about whether or not they actually existed, because no one has seen one in like 2,000 years plus. So, that's still up for debate, which is why I can make videos about this. But I really want to know what your thoughts are, what your thinks are. I need more coffee, but I really want to know what you guys think about this. What are your views on gods and goddesses? Were they like us? Are they different? Are their abilities different than ours? Could they just be a highly advanced living race? Kind of like the ancient alien theory. What do you guys think? Let me know what you think down in the comments, and we can talk, chit chat some theories. Because ancient aliens, you know, it's a pretty funny show, and it's a really, really interesting thought. You guys know what to do. Good hunting. If you want to check out any of my books, which I'm showing here, you can find them in the description down below. Good hunting.